What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Hardly anyone even knew Michael existed, and those who did already had their own masters. These masters were bound by mutual interests rather than loyalty, and they didn't trust each other or pledge allegiance. The only exception was Feldway, who was connected to Michael by friendship. Additionally, Michael's own parallel existence, the ultimate skill, Justice King Michael, had been transferred to him, so they were seen as one entity. Thus, using his own loyalty to activate the power of Castle Guard was pointless. This was logical.
I see. I didn't understand my own skill at all.
Surprisingly, people often don't fully understand themselves. Similarly, Michael had misunderstood Justice King Michael. Previously, when he had faced Rimuru's group on the airship, he thought he was protecting Feldway with his Castle Guard. But that wasn't the case. Feldway was using his own skill. Unlike then, Michael could no longer use Rudra's loyalty, which is why Castle Guard was ineffective. This skill nullified all attacks, so the conditions for its use must be stringent. Michael grasped this deeply through his pain. Obera, the attacker, was also surprised by the unexpected turn of events. She knew about Michael's Castle Guard. She had been told that any attack would be futile, so seeing Michael take damage confused her. Despite this, she saw an opportunity and acted quickly.
Keep attacking with all your strength, maintain coordination, and don't let Michael rest.
The soldiers, understanding their role, attacked with full force without further prompting. Obera reflected. Michael's pursuit was anticipated. She had expected her betrayal to be discovered when she erased the angelic skill and was prepared to act accordingly. As a countermeasure, she planned a full-scale attack while secretly planning a withdrawal. Their escape destination was the enemy's territory. She intended to lead Michael and strike the cryptids. However, this didn't seem necessary now. From Obera's perspective, Michael's energy was several times greater than hers. He seemed formidable, but his combat experience was lacking.
Could we actually win this? No, that's too naive. Unfortunately, some soldiers will have to act as decoys.
Obera was a shrewd and effective commander. She was willing to sacrifice weaker subordinates to save the majority. This ability to sacrifice the few for the many was essential for leading a large army. Hence, she could order her troops to die without hesitation. She had already decided who would live. If Michael didn't act, she could teleport out during the opening. With Michael present, she could open the Great Gate of the Sky from within the otherworld. This escape plan was carefully devised by Obera, the strategist.
Oma, you will lead the First Legion out of the battlefield. Head to our lord, the demon lord Malim-sama.
Obera ordered her loyal followers. She intended to stay and command until the end. The First Legion was the elite of Obera's forces. Oma was an excellent second in command with outstanding combat skills. With her undead elf body and enhanced strength, she would be invaluable to Demon Lord Milam in the future. Believing this, Obera gave her final order. However, Oma refused. Now able to speak fluently as an undead elf, she firmly stated,
"You must be joking. Only you, the Primordial, can handle the gate key. Even if that were not the case, a warrior cannot abandon their lord to flee."
She smiled quietly. All of Obera's soldiers shouted in agreement.
"Our glory is with you."
Without Obera, surviving was meaningless. These were their true feelings and their pride. If Obera had been possessed by Justice King Michael, the absolute Castle Guard would have manifested. An unbreakable command and loyal soldiers would have been realized, but that was just a hypothetical.
You guys.
Obera was in a difficult position. The worst possible outcome was that they all perished here. At the very least, someone needed to reach Milam and relay their situation, sharing as much information as possible.
Should I stay, or should Oma take charge?
At this point, personal feelings didn't matter. The priority was choosing the option with the highest chance of success. Obera made her decision and was about to voice it when
everyone, spread out immediately.
She sensed something was off and issued the command right away. Though deep in thought, Obera kept her focus on Michael, who was under intense attack. She wasn't careless enough to make mistakes on the battlefield. That's why she noticed. Michael's energy depletion had halted. He was no longer taking damage, but before she could determine why, she sensed Michael accumulating a vast amount of energy. Reacting instinctively, she shouted the order. Following Obera's command, hundreds of thousands of troops began to move at once. Those closer to the outer edge moved faster, attempting to disperse in all directions without causing a bottleneck. However, mocking their efforts, Michael's technique was unleashed.
Scorched Dragon Cardinal Acceleration.
With the power he had absorbed from Velgrind now fully his, the multi-headed Crimson Dragon decimated Obera's forces, instantly killing over 10,000 soldiers. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare. Yet, the damage wasn't as catastrophic as it could have been. If Obera hadn't reacted in time, everything would have ended in that moment.
You.
Obera was enraged by the loss of her beloved troops but stayed composed despite her fury. She analyzed the attack and gauged the power disparity between herself and Michael. It was clear that if things continued this way, the worst outcome was inevitable. The tens of thousands of scattered light rays, starting to counterattack, were being blocked by an ice barrier Michael had erected. Not just Velgrin's power, perhaps even Velzard's. Michael's body was surrounded by a beautiful blue-white layer of icy diamond dust. Despite the lack of atmosphere in this other world, Michael's aura was creating a supernatural phenomenon. That power was unmistakably the snow crystal shield of the frost dragon Velzard, an absolute barrier said to block all attacks. Although a defensive technique classified as a physical phenomenon, its nature allowed it to cut off all wavelengths and frequencies. Spiritual attacks might work, but penetrating it required energy comparable to Velzard's. The current Michael was as powerful as, or even stronger than Velzard. In other words, Obera alone couldn't break through snow crystal. Only a few of Obera's subordinates could perform spiritual attacks like disintegration. Even if they combined their power and launched disintegration, it was doubtful it would reach Michael.
Oma, I'm entrusting you with a mission. Get out of here. Inform Malim-sama.
I refuse. As Chief of Staff, I have the authority to disobey your orders. Now is the perfect time to exercise that.
Showing an unusual moment of defiance, Oma spoke up again. Obera could feel Oma's determination. In that case, there was only one course of action left.
Then I leave this to you. Everyone, give it your all.
Die, Obera commanded. Yet, the soldiers under Obera's command wore expressions of joy.
Our lives are yours.
That declaration was the signal. The relentless destruction resumed and
Volume 19, Chapter 1. The First Battle, Part 1.
We arrived in an incredibly cold place, a landscape covered in snow, reminiscent of Guy's castle. I attempted to use the magic transfer circle, but it failed, so I resorted to spatial transportation, pushing the limits of what my Argus surveillance spell could see. The biting cold was intense, freezing me to the bone. It was undoubtedly due to Velzard's presence. Despite my ability to nullify the cold, the chill I felt confirmed her influence. The air was heavy with tension, indicating a battlefield. The most potent forces were emanating from where Guy and Velzard faced off, creating a deadly zone no one could enter. I decided to steer clear of that area. I felt a gaze upon me, but I ignored it. A wave of anger seemed to hit me, as if someone was annoyed by my disregard, but overthinking wasn't useful. I was just a bystander and intervening wasn't wise. Despite sensing someone's frustration, my decision was firm. It's unwise to jump into danger unnecessarily. My next focus was Diablo, who was up against Celerio. Best to leave that be, too.
Diablo can handle himself. If he fails, there's nothing I can do.
No, that's not.
You're missing the point, Seal-san. I've noticed that Diablo tends to slack off when I'm watching him. He probably doesn't realize it, but it seems he's testing my capabilities.
I see. That makes sense.
It's been a while since I've outpaced Seal-san. Feeling pleased, I proceeded to give everyone their orders.
We'll leave the exterior as is and head towards Leon. Handle any battles you encounter along the way.
Benimaru, Soi, Ranga, and Kumara nodded at my instructions. This was an urgent situation, so I decided we should stick together for now. Was there another battlefield nearby? There was, with strong magical traces on the ground. However, my intuition told me to ignore it. Without any clear reason, I followed this instinct. Now wasn't the time for hesitation, so we moved out immediately. Everyone agreed, and we advanced towards the castle. Visibility was poor. I tried using universal perception, but it was hard to gauge distances. The reason was Velzard's snowstorm, which was tainted with magicules, disabling the natural effects nullification. When the atmosphere is filled with magicules, using their reflection for distance sensing becomes unreliable. We had to move towards the area with the most intense magicules. That was the right choice, and we soon reached Leon's castle. Inside the castle, visibility improved, allowing me to relax a bit. I searched for signs of battle.
I've found Leon's location. Benimaru and I will go there. The rest of you support the other battles.
Understood.
I understand.
Leave it to me.
With no objections, Ranga, Kumara, and Soi moved out. I didn't wait to see them off and took Benimaru, using spatial transportation. As soon as we entered the castle, the intensity of the battle increased dramatically. A chilling presence filled the area. The energy was overwhelming, even exceeding my full power. Realizing the danger, I accelerated my thoughts by several 100 million times to quickly assess the situation. Laplace and Tyr were shielding a woman, guided by Yuki, who had managed to summon the last of his strength. The woman looked familiar. Yuki's secretary, she must have been possessed by the demon lord Kazalim. Her name was Kigali, and the last time I saw her, she was under Lieutenant Kondu's control. Now, she seemed to have regained her free will. But the immediate threat wasn't her, it was the massive fireball the enemy was about to unleash. Enhanced by an ultimate skill, its heat and destructive force were immense, capable of shattering even spirits. In other words, it could destroy souls. And it was already launched. I was safe. My void god Azathoth could absorb destructive power, so I was protected. Naturally, Benimaru was also shielded, so no worries there. But Yuki and the others, who took the fireball head-on, were already suffering. They were.
No, use Void God Azathoth to consume them, or
Do it.
Before the explanation finished, I gave the command. Seal-san acted instantly. Yet, the result was a huge explosion that obliterated the castle. Yuki was engulfed by the light and vanished. Laplace too. The explosion that warped space was mostly suppressed by my power. But for those who took the direct hit,
I've been a pain, but I didn't dislike you, Rimuru-san.
Same here. Glad you're here. I leave the rest to you.
I felt like I heard voices. Maybe it was just a hallucination. Yuki and Laplace were gone without a trace. They had been troublesome, but Yuki was a fellow countryman Shizu-san entrusted to me. And Laplace, I thought we might get along in a way that I couldn't dislike him now.
they're tough, so there's a chance they're still alive somewhere.
No need to comfort me. It's clear from the situation that it's just wishful thinking. But those words grounded me. I thanked Seal-san and refocused. Yuki and Laplace were gone, but they weren't the key to victory. Besides, they were resilient, they might still be alive.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Chad Vota, Nate, Havox, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rossan, Jarius Ladek, Ray Perez, Donald Williams, Moab A, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, Sanketh Chelu, T. Bush, John L, Edgar Fuentes, JV, Thomas, J, Christ, Joshua Cousins, Vethelny, Khaled, Christian Deshazer, Cal Robs, Divine C. Harris, Panda Cats, DeAndre Nance, Monty Boy 98, D-Man, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Kamal Ebanks, Isaac, Koala King 93, Paul DeGrassi, Little 95, Quilly Buckner, Zephyrus, Alver, Normal Defate, L, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Liron Sangkap, Lucas Gay, Jason Martin, Ekotski, Foolish Prophets, Ethan Madison, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Andre Hamilton, Guy Endsley, Simon Road, Emperor WSA, Mika Espinosa, George Hage, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Arod Dare, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Smexy, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Homelight Drop, Vasto Lord, Martin Ramos, Marl Barsha, Hansel Ortega, Karam Faraj, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Jordan Mersha, Kamal Luke, Spencer Candila, Ian Sikibuyol, Putate, Thanakorn Lee Sawat, Lamar, KACP9R, Tony, The Harv, Mike Roch, Matthew Abraham, Drayden Yamauchi. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.